Uh, right now, I want to talk to Joe. Joe is literally... I've spoken to at least 600 people in the past 4 years. And a lot of left-wingers, right-wingers. I have like 300 hours on my hard drive on Omegle and all that. But Joe here is literally the most reasonable and rational left-winger I've ever met in my life. I am a very big fan of her, and I have a lot of respect for her because she doesn't, although she, maybe she had this phase in her life, but she doesn't do this anymore, where anytime I make a very controversial view, she doesn't go like, that's racist, sexist, Nazi, bigot, homophobe. Like, she doesn't do that. She actually is very rational, and that's what I love about her. And I use the word leftist and not liberal, because I myself am a classical liberal. Joe is definitely not a liberal.
I don't like the word liberal either. To describe myself, it is.
So you got cut off for something. Say it again.
I said I don't like the word liberal to describe myself, regardless. I describe myself when people ask me. I say I'm a leftist.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you did that because I am still, believe it or not, happy to use the label liberal. Like, I don't mind it, even though right now I hate most liberals in the Western world, especially in Canada, US, and UK. But that's why I like to use the word classical liberal, because I do still agree with liberalism as a concept, as a philosophy. I strongly still do. But that's not a topic about me. This is specifically comes to the transgender issue. And I wanted to ask her some questions. I'm going to try to minimize my own opinions as much as I can because I want to delve deep into this and pick her brain. And maybe my questions will question. I'm not even going to try to change her mind on anything, but because she's a smart girl, smart people are the only ones that can admit that they're wrong, and they tend to be like, you know what, maybe I have to think about that. I might come up with a new idea. Being wrong is actually not something that makes you dumb. Being ignorant about the fact that you're wrong is something that makes you dumb. This is a big thing.
Oh,
yeah, wrong people, like smart people are wrong all the time, but that's the beauty is you learn. You have to open your mind, and be able to learn and take in new information. But don't keep your mind open and just accept every single information that is all true. So anyway, little discussion on the intelligence. Now, Joe, you're muted.
Oh, I am.
Okay, you're good now. Go ahead.
I'd just like to say, like, some of my qualifications. I am a sophomore at university. I am studying human biology on a pre-med track. I have a minor in mathematics and psychology, and I'm a member of the honors math program at my university. I love mathematics, I love statistics, I love biology. These are things that not only do I study academically, but I study for funds. So I just wanted to state that before we got started so that people have a better understanding of what I do and what I know and my background.
Okay, that's wonderful. Now, let's delve deep into specifically the transgender part of all these discussions. All right? You ready?
Yep.
Okay, sorry, there's a delay in sound. Okay. So, when it comes to the bathroom, you believe as long as someone identifies? What do you believe? Who can use what bathroom?
Honestly, I had made this joke at a concert I went to, about how we should just separate the bathrooms by who needs to piss and who needs to poop. Just because the separate bathroom thing with how bathrooms are built in America and they're better built in they're better built in European countries, I believe, in terms of how stalls work. I think if it's about stalls, like, who cares? Waltz into whatever bathroom you want. Your business, leave. That's all no one wants to be in there for more time, and we already have to. It's stinky regardless of your gender. What bathroom you're gonna pick, so it doesn't matter. I also believe that we should offer free sanitary products in both bathrooms, because who cares? They're just there. If you're not gonna use them, you're not gonna use them, you know what I mean? I'm a big proponent of that.
Okay. Do you believe somebody, a 20-year-old man, can go to a preschool and just walk into a female bathroom for children. So with that, do you have an issue with his age or his gender? So should he just not be allowed to come to the preschool?
Yeah, there's no reason for him to be there. That's a place of warning for small children. Unless he has the qualifications to be there and teach them, what is the point of him being there?
Exactly.
I mean...
I like that. No, just so you know, this is what makes me not a right-winger. I mean, I technically am right-winger today, but this is one of my issues with the super right-wing conservatives and all that, is they bring up that concern, and I tell them, okay, dude, that guy shouldn't have been allowed into school in the first place. That's a terrible example. You know what I mean? That's such a weird thing. That's why the bathroom issue was like so stupid to me. Like, dude, who cares what bathroom they're using? You know what I mean?
Thing about that argument that I like to break down a lot is like, people are like, well, a man's gonna go in there and diddle people. Okay, well, he was gonna go in there and diddle people regardless of the bathroom law. He's a predator. Predators do. They victimize people. So it doesn't matter regardless what rules we have, because like at the end of the day, that predator can't go into the bathrooms he wants to. He'll just come to somebody's house and molest them. Like, he'll just do that. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. This is why, again,
I'm still listening.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So that's just why I'm similar to Paige Short, but my issue with the leftists is now when it comes to the Olympics and national sports. And that's actually something, there's been so many cases of biological men just beating the living shit out of women just because they said they are biological men. And that's a big issue. And this is where the left hates me for, because I say, this is like... And to me, my solution is quite simple. It's just, you have to be biological men can compete with biological men, biological women can compete with biological women. That's literally my solution. It's so simple. And if for transgenders, they can have a different, maybe they can have a transgender Olympics, or they can compete in the Special Olympics, although that's going to piss off a lot of people if I say that. So to me, the Olympics, though, is such a simple thing. Now, my issue with you is, unfortunately, you disagree with me on this. You think...
Only slightly. Yeah. Ever so slightly. And the reason why I disagree ever so slightly is because of the introduction of puberty blockers and hormone therapy. So there will be some cases of people who recognize the feelings of being transgender and who will get that I don't want to say taken care of, but they'll start their transition very early if they have a good support system. So, you know, if a 9-10-year-old comes to their parent and says, Mom, Dad, I don't feel like the gender that I was assigned at birth. I would like to start puberty blockers. I have no problem with that. And say that kid then goes to middle school and they want to compete. Well, first of all, the first thing I want to say is in middle school sports, they're most of the time co-ed, so it doesn't even matter much in middle school anyways. As someone, a 3-sport athlete in middle school and high school, and I competed co-ed a majority of that time. Mm-hmm. So I have no problem with that. And then say, you know, they get to 15, 16, and they decide they want to keep using puberty blockers until they're old enough to start hormone replacement therapy, or say they want to stop their puberty blockers. I don't see a problem with that. I think they should be able to compete with the gender that they feel they are. It is true that there is some children, I'm not exactly sure about the statistics, there is some children who change their mind about how they feel about their gender. So I have no problem with them being on puberty blockers. From all the papers I've seen and read, using puberty blockers for several years hasn't had a huge medical risk to people. It's not chemical castration, it's simply stopping puberty. It's sending hormones and signals to the pituitary gland, not to signal for the body to start producing the hormones to get secondary sexual characteristics, which is the main thing that makes men and women really different, right? We have our primary sexual characteristics, and that stems completely from our genitals. That is what primary sexual characteristics are, is strictly genitals. Secondary sexual characteristics don't start developing until puberty. This is things like chest, body hair, body odor. I mean, I don't know much about, I know male puberty. but I can't really speak on it. The vocal changes,
No,
yeah.
Let me
So
ask you, what age do you think people should be allowed to be on puberty? Whatever age they want?
to start hormones?
No, to be put on puberty blockers.
Oh, well, my first thing I'd like to say is that is going to vary state to state regardless.
No, I'm not asking what the current laws are. I'm saying I want to know you. Because this interview is about you. Because I introduced you as the most moderate leftist and most rational. And if you don't have an answer, please just say you don't have an answer.
I mean, I do have an answer, but my answer would be it varies person to person.
Okay.
Puberty is a very personal thing. You can kind of predict puberty based on, your parents and stuff like that when you'll start. But overall, you can't predict it. That would have to be a child it would have to be a family by family basis.
Okay, let me ask you this then. When it comes to being put on puberty blockers, who should decide? The mom, the dad, the child, or the government? Out of these four. I mean, unless you have a fifth one, but usually these four are the deciders of life. Wait. Listen, whenever I speak, I don't know why, but it mutes you completely. So just say it again when I quiet.
So I don't think the government has any place in a decision like that. I think that decision should strictly be up to the child, their parent, and their doctor.
Okay. So no government. Okay. Hold on to that. What if the child wants to be put on puberty blockers, but both of the parents say no? What happens?
I think that would be another conversation with the child and their doctor, based on... When I say doctor, I mean a team of medical professionals, not just their endocrinologist. I'd probably say also their therapist, their psychiatrist, people part of their...
Right.
And the reason why I say this is because there has been many, as someone myself who's been through the mental health system, and being transgender is not only a physical issue, it's also an extremely tolling mental issue. So
I'm uncircumcised.
Sir, be quiet. We're having a serious conversation. Go ahead.
My opinion with that would be, there is cases where we are able to and get them to understand what's going on with the child, help them empathize, help educate them. But at the end of the day, there is nothing we can do if the parent disagrees. That would have to be waiting until the child's a little bit older.
Stop. Again, don't give me answers on what the country or government or whatever government is doing. Do you believe that a child should be able to do whatever they want with their body just with the permission? A 9-year-old should be able to do whatever they want with their body. Okay, let me just meet this guy. So they should be able to do whatever they want with their body, even if both of the parents disagree.
For puberty blockers, I'm gonna say a slight yes.
Whoa. Okay.
And here's the...
Okay, wait, first of all, here's the funny thing. Is that I know you're literally against governmental tyranny and all that, but this is something that it will literally lead to a governmental tyranny, because at this point, if both of the parents are saying no and the child is saying yes, the government's the one who's going to have to step in here, and you're literally giving all the power to the child, which means the government will literally just arrest the parent for not allowing them. So you're literally indirectly just leading to a tyrannical government, because they're just going to say, oh, child says it, fucking inject them with their shit.
So my answer comes out of a couple of places. One being medically empathetic. And by that I mean, not fitting in, not having friends, not feeling like you belong, being intensely uncomfortable with your body constantly, whether that be body dysmorphia, gender dysphoria, eating disorder, this leads to death. End of story.
No, it doesn't.
This leads to suicide.
No, it actually doesn't. 9-year-olds are stupid, and they say stupid stuff like that all the time. In fact, allowing them to be put up is something that will actually lead to that, because transgender individuals have the highest suicide rate among everybody. So, if anything, being more tough with the kid is actually going to be better for the kid's future than just letting it destroy his life and make a major life decision like that.
One, I don't think that puberty blockers are nearly as a big a life decision as you think. It's very different than actually going...
No, they're not 100% reversible. I know they're reversible, but it's not 100%. There's so many side effects.
Well, aren't 100% anything. I mean, getting your tubes tied isn't a 100% way to keep you from getting pregnant. Things happen, but those numbers, or the statistics on those, are relatively small, relatively unlikely. Of course, there's going to be complications with every medication that we have on the market, that some people they're not going to be available to them. That this is just a medical reality we have to come to. But I'm sure for a majority of people, if they talk to a gynecologist, if they get the medical advice they need, I'm sure they'll find that it'll be fine. And I'm sure going on puberty blockers for a couple of months before you figure out if you do have a medical issue with them won't affect you that much.
Again, the biggest issue with this conversation is the fact that you're okay with... Sorry, are you trying to talk? Yeah.
Here's my example for this. I recently found out that I have a food allergy. I've been eating food my whole life and had no idea that I was allergic to it. I just thought that was a normal experience that everyone was having. I did not find out until right now that I did have this mild to severe food allergy. And the reason why I'm relating this to this is because when you look at things like puberty blockers, you'll find out quickly that once talking to a doctor and, getting tests done that aren't that extensive, and aren't invasive, you can figure out if that medication is right for you. And trial and error is a big part of medicine. I know personally with the mental illnesses that I have and with my struggle in the psychiatry and psychology realm of medicine, that's all trial and error. You know what I mean? I've been on 6 different antidepressants, and a couple of them have worked for a little while, a couple of them didn't work at all. And so when it comes to endocrinology, it's very similar because we don't have an accurate way to predict how the body works. But after a week or two, you can figure that out. And then if that's not right for that person, then we take them off that medication and we find other ways to treat the illness. In this case, if we're talking about medical transition, if that person is experiencing intense gender dysphoria, and the normal treatment for that when you're young is being put on puberty blockers, if that person is, say, allergic to puberty blockers, then we find a new course of treatment, whether that be new types of therapy, whether it be DBT, CBT, whether it be antidepressants, whether it be anti-anxiety drugs, whether it be... I'm totally okay with all of these options.
Dude, the funny thing is, even your example, if you told your parents, they wouldn't have told you, you are eating normally. You're not allowed to see any medical professional on this. You're assuming the parents would do you're literally assuming your government would be better than your parents.
Why I use the example of the food I'm allergic to is because growing up, I did not like the food I was allergic to because I thought it tasted funny. And my parents would be like, well, you need to eat it. I'm allergic to bananas, okay? I'm just going to put that out there. I am mildly allergic to bananas. I break out into severe hives.
Well, there was my evening plans, but okay. Okay.
So because of my severe banana allergy, what are bananas good for? Potassium. What did I do all through middle school and high school? I swam and ran. Right. What do you need to make muscles for swimming and running? Lots of potassium. I get it.
Wait. I get it. But here's the thing. The doctor could have spoken with your parents, and then your parents would have, I think, would have been rational, and they would have said, okay, she's allergic to bananas. Let's not force her bananas anymore. But what I'm saying with the transgender individual is, again, okay, so even if the doctor says it, but the parents are still disagreeing, you're literally saying go with the doctor.
Here's my next... I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
Why are the parents? Are they disagreeing out of not agreeing with the lifestyle, or are they disagreeing because they're uneducated?
Okay, again, the uneducated answer, I would say, I'm not saying I disagree with parents talking to doctors. So I agree with that. But I'm saying a 9-year-old should not decide what they can do with their body. A 9.
I think the biggest thing that's missing out of this conversation about transgender people is that I think there's lots of misinformation concerning transgender people. I think there's a lot of miseducation, and I think that
I agree, but that's not what we're talking about. That's literally not even at all.
I think that fear that the parents... People disagree with things, and they come with things with force out of fear, right?
Right, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm simply asking who decides what to do with that 9-year-old's body. And you literally said, even if both parents agree.
Decision, but I think that if it's going to be a joint decision, every single party who's making the joint decision needs to be educated. So I have an example. When I was 14, I asked my mom if I could go on birth control because I have an estrogen sensitivity in my own body. My body produces too much estrogen, which causes me extreme pain during my menstrual cycle, to the point where I'm throwing up, I can't move, I'm having muscle spasms. You can physically see my uterus contracting in my stomach because it's contracting hard, right? It gives me severe ingestion issues, like gastrointestinal issues, yada, yada, yada. So I went to my mom and I said, hey, Mom, I would really like to go on birth control because A, B, C, and D. My mom only heard the first part of that sentence. She stopped listening after I said that first part, that I wanted to go on birth control. She said, are you crazy? You're 14, you can't go on birth control. Birth control is for people who have sex and get pregnant really young and yada, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. She, out of a place of misunderstanding and fear for my future. She feared that if I went on birth control, that I would start having sex and that would ruin my life because I would get pregnant at a young age.
Right.
But, luckily, I was educated and was able to say, Mom, we need to actually talk about this. I'm not going on birth control because I want to have sex with people. I know myself, and myself knows that I'm not ready for a sexual relationship with anyone right now. I'm 14. I know myself, and I know that I'm not interested in anybody right now. I'm not looking to have sex anytime soon. And after talking with her and just sharing our feelings honestly,
yep,
she agreed. She said that I can go on birth control.
Exactly.
And so, say someone a similar age, I feel like even at the age of 11 or 12, you don't know a whole lot, but if anything, you understand yourself. You know yourself best. I'll be there in a second. You know yourself best. So, I don't have any problem with a 10, 12-year-old being given the resources. Say a 10, 12-year-old goes to their parents or their therapist and they're like, therapist or parent, I don't feel right in my own body. I don't feel like the gender I identify with. Mm-hmm. And then that person can, A, give them resources, right? Mm-hmm. These resources include journals that they can understand and read, or journals that they can then read together and the older person who has more life experience can help them decipher. Whether that be getting them talking to an actual gender therapist, whether that be just educating everybody together. I think that should always be the first step. Let me clarify that. I think that should always be the first step. The first step should always be a medical professional about the feelings you're having, and then seeing and educating yourself about what they said. So
I think agree with all that.
I think that might be
the conclusion.
Because I think that any reasonable person will see, okay, the chance of having anything bad happen to you when you're on puberty blockers is like 0.5%. My child is really struggling, and this is a really good way to help them. And if things don't go the way we planned, then we make a new course of action, because that's how life works. So that's why I don't have a problem with that, because I think that if people are good parents, if they're good people, if they want to raise responsible, healthy adults, they will understand that their child knows themselves best, and that they should listen to their child when it comes to decisions that they fully make about their child. Now, are kids going to be misinformed sometimes? Yes, definitely. And the biggest part of...
Okay, listen. Again, I'm very disappointed, because I'm still surprised that you cannot see the giant danger of literally. First of all, I don't disagree with anything you said so far. What?
My mom is calling me. I'll be right back.
Oh my god. I'm actually, first of all, I'm surprised the interview took this turn. Because we first of all never even got to talk about transgenders, part of the conversation, and the Olympics. But actually, I'm glad we hit a pretty good nail on the head. Because the biggest issue with all this is with all these people talking about transgenders and, you're bad, you're ugly, and you faggot, all that. But the main issue is simply, again, who should be allowed to do what? Like, no one ever discusses the governmental aspect of this. Okay? I'm not here to discuss if this is good or bad, if this is healthy or bad. I know a bit of the science, but I'm not going to pretend to know all the science. And I know for a fact that it's not 100% reversible. But the point is, though, is who should be allowed to do what? My personal view is quite simple. Once you're 18, do whatever the fuck you want with your body. Seriously. Anything you want with your body. Tattoos, abortion, cut yourself, do whatever you want. It's your body. Okay? When it comes to, everything, once you're 18, I do believe you can do whatever you want with your body. Anything. Okay? And sometimes I would say even at 16, I'm willing to come to a compromise. Says once you're 16, do whatever you want with your body. Abortion, puberty, injections, drugs, cut it, tattoo it, whatever. It's your body. But when you're under 16, I have a giant issue with people allowing any giant life changes to your body. And without the parental... One second, be quiet. I was there in the middle of a speech, and you left, so I'm still talking. Anything without the parents' consent. So to me, when it comes to under 16, I'm not saying, if you're under 16, you're not allowed to get tattoos, you're not allowed to get abortions, you're not... No, I never said that in my life. The question comes to me is, again, who allows what to happen? Whether you like it or not, at the end of the day, whether you love the government or hate the government has all the power when it comes to this. Okay? And personally, I'd rather we say... Oh, you can go then. We can do this video.
I gotta go to Costco. I'll talk to y'all later, though.
Yeah. So anyway, just before you go, wait. Can you just quickly say your stance on the Olympics? You said so you actually don't believe any individual should be allowed to compete in Olympics if they choose to. You're saying only people that have been on puberty blockers and have proven it, right? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yep, that's essentially my opinion. If they've been on puberty blockers, they haven't gone through male puberty, and they've gone through female puberty, then in turn with hormone replacement therapy, I see no problem with them competing with other biological women, because other than their chromosomes and their actual genitals, they are by all means biological women by secondary sexual characteristics, all that stuff. So I have a problem with that. They don't even have deep voices if they go on puberty blockers early enough and then start hormone replacement therapy. They'll sound like me.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So now the thing is, one second, Sonny. I'm in the middle of we're doing a live stream on YouTube. It's almost finished. So the funny thing is, I actually don't fully disagree with her final stance when it comes to the Olympics issue. But my biggest issue with her is the fact that she has no problem saying, and again, I guess we'll have to have a different interview on a different day, and maybe I have to do some research myself, because again, my thing is, like I said, I'm not debating the science, I'm only debating the politics, so who allows what. And my biggest issue with her is the fact that she is okay with anyone at any age. She said it, you can look at rewind the YouTube video and see. Anyone at any age, I even said even 9-year-old, even if both of the 9-year-old's parents are saying no, she's okay with that 9-year-old being put on puberty blockers or doing any drastic changes to that body. That to me is dangerous. Because the funny thing is, at the very beginning of this video, I asked her, if somebody wants to do whatever to their body, who should be the decider? The individual, the government, or the parents? And she said, oh, she never believes the government should do anything. She said that. But she ended up saying it should be an individual. So this is where something that, even though, this is why I tell everybody that socialism and fascism is very linked. Because even though she's very anti-government, so she's pretty much anti-fascist, she literally, this scenario will just end up creating a path for governmental tyranny. And this is, I'm going to have to make a new video on this completely, because she literally says she wants the individual to decide. Well, okay, guess what? A 9-year-old says, I want to do this to my body. Both parents say no. That's when the government steps in and say, ha ha ha, you don't do just that, what the fuck? And the government will forcibly take the child and let the child do whatever extreme changes they want to their body. There's just a different path towards tyranny. Anyway,